Welcome to the Got Her Back podcast. Hey, girl.
Did you just open the podcast?
I did. I got some balls and did it.
You did. You grew a pair.
Oh, yeah, girl.
You did. You took that Enneagram
I know.
challenge.
I don't have to drink anymore.
I know.
Before we come on this podcast and record.
I know.
I used to get zooted
What's
about
going
a year
on?
ago.
What's going on with you now, Maggie?
Me? Oh,
yeah,
you know.
catch me up.
I mean, just whining and dining and 69ing.
What were you doing all this snow outside since we got like all that crazy weather?
I went to the cabin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love being up there when it's all like snowy.
Yeah.
I saw you dancing in the snow, girl.
Oh, yeah. Just dance.
I was wondering who was videoing.
Oh, you know.
You know, just somebody.
you know. You know.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Red flag.
Red flag, Megan. Megan, why are you a red flag right now?
I don't know. You know, I'm a walking red flag these days.
I want to know so bad, like, what your dating review is, like, on the back end of, like, the dating apps that give, like, their, like, feedback.
I've told you multiple times. I'm sure they say I'm a bitch.
No, that's what you think, but I want to know what it really says.
Telling you,
like,
I
want to know. I need somebody to sign up just to look like what this is because I'm so curious.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, hey, I'm bringing it these days.
You are. You're coming in hot. You're all confident. You're not like, I don't know. You just have a whole new.
Yeah.
I could see it last year already, but this year.
I have my moments. I mean, I have I'll slip back down and then I pull myself back and slip. You know what I mean?
Everybody,
but I think
though.
it's everybody.
Yeah.
I think I have days. But
We all have days where we're low and high.
Well, I mean, I think it's just like not getting sucked back into like chaos and madness. And so like I have it that day and then I'm like, no, I'm not doing this again. You know what I mean? Like, screw that. So
do you think that you realize it quicker now? Like,
for sure. Without
instead of like feeding into that, like it would go on and on and on.
Yeah. Like how many episodes ago was that? Like 2 that you asked me about co-parenting and I was like, oh, it's actually going good. Who would have thought? And I said, but how long is this going to last?
Yeah.
Yeah. Crash and burn.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I did that for 20 years. It was get on the ride, get off, get on the ride, get off. He'd be super nice and then a super asshole. So, you know, I mean, I know what he's going to do before he's going to do it.
Yeah.
Because,
predictable. At this point.
Total. Like his behaviors are totally predictable.
And I think you just can't let people affect you anymore.
No, not at all.
And just kind of seeing that some people like you on that roller coaster.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Of course.
Yeah. So, which brings me to the topic
of let them?
Yes, the let them theory.
Yeah.
And I think I didn't really even know this was like a thing now.
I didn't either until you brought it to me.
And it got over 14 million views in 1 week.
That's
so clearly
crazy.
it resonates with people. And clearly people have controlling issues or, you know what I mean?
And jealousy. It talks about jealousy too. So
jealousy.
What we're talking about today is the let them theory. And so it's like finding like peace and setting boundaries in your life. And, you know, basically the short of it is if people want to act up and act a fool, let them. You know, if your kids don't want to make good grades, let them.
You know what it kind of reminds me of? When you have like, and I could be wrong, but when you have a friendship and you kind of start drifting apart or whatever, and you're the only one like trying to keep it together or in a relationship and you're the only one like trying and putting in effort and you don't even realize that the other person isn't doing anything until you stop.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of like, you finally quit fighting for it. And then you realize that you were the only one doing it all along. And you just kind of have to come with peace with that. And then it kind of ends. Because I think sometimes you get in that spot and you're like, okay, well, let me see if I don't reach out to this person or whatever, what will happen? And then you just never talk to them again.
Right.
You know, or if you have somebody that loves like, you know, a toxic relationship or whatever, and it's really starting to affect your life and weigh on you and you want to fix it, you want to control it, and they're not doing it.
Right.
I mean, you have to
just
be like
waiting for people to change. Right. Let them.
And the only reason that I saw this was I had a client, I had actually a couple of different clients that didn't even know each other come in and want us to tattoo the words "let them" on their arm because it resonated so well with them. And they wanted to keep reminding themselves of it because they struggled with that. And I guess everybody really struggles with that.
Well, everybody has control issues. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
Everyone has
We all
control
have
issues.
triggers,
Right. Of course.
which are control,
Of
you know.
course. And so, and some people are just more controlling than others, right? And so, it's learning to, in those relationships, whether it's a friendship or a relationship or a boyfriend
Or a
or you're
parent,
dating
or a sibling.
or a coworker, whatever it is a lot of times we fall for the idea of them or what we think that they should be or the potential.
The potential.
Yeah. And so that's what this whole, movement is about is like,
a lot of people are in relationships for
Right.
years and years and years
course.
with potential.
Yes.
Because you see something in
Right.
them. And fun fact, they're never going to go into that. You're seeing this and you know that they can do it. You know that they can do it. You know they can do it. And they're not doing it. And you're getting frustrated.
Yeah.
And it's really just affecting you. They don't care.
No.
They can sit there and tell you like, well, you got to accept it and you got to this and you got to that. Well, not really.
Well, when you start, it's the let them movement talks about so much about how you need to just let people be who they're going to be, and show you who they are. And that has really been a lot of growth. You embedded that into me this last year. Yeah, you did. Because you kept saying, Megan, don't follow the words, follow the actions, And so it's when someone shows you, okay, they can be nice. And then they come, or, then the next day they can be mean, if they're showing you who they
or if
are,
they're sitting there telling you,
right, over and
people
over.
love to tell you, well, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this.
Yeah, I'm going to do this, and then they don't.
You believe them, and then the next day their actions are not meeting their words.
Yeah.
I tell my kids this, I tell my employees this, I tell everybody this. I don't care about words, honestly.
Yeah.
I care about action, and if they don't meet, it's manipulation to me.
Of course.
That's all that it is to me at the end of the day.
Of course.
So, and I think when I give you a tip like that I don't even realize, it's just coming out of my mouth, and then you actually resonate with it. I think that you really hold on to it.
Yeah.
And same with me. I'm sure
the video you sent for me for this podcast, just the let the movement, totally resonated with me because I do have control issues. I want and part of that is I'm a perfectionist, right? I want everything to be perfect. I wanted everything to be perfect in my relationships and at work, in my friendships or whatever. And sometimes you just got to let that be, and that's the anxiety in me. And I clearly have anxiety.
And control issues are anxiety.
Right. And that's where that stems from. And so if a person is just, that says more about them on how they're going to act. If they're going to keep, treating you, but once you just let them be them and either, if they're going to just, be ugly or be hateful or do whatever they're going to do, let them. And then guess what? Then the ball's in my court because I can decide how to either react or not react.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm really, really working on.
I can't wait till you do it fully because it is so awesome to never react. Hardly.
Yeah.
I mean, I will react, don't get me wrong, but it takes a lot to get a reaction out of me. You gotta over and over and over, and then I have to be on my period too. So it has to be two things together, and then I'll react. But other than that, I will not give somebody the satisfaction of reaction. I will
You're so good at the let them.
I'm the poster child of let them, aren't I?
You are. You should probably get it on your forehead.
I should get the tattoo.
Yeah, let them.
As if I need another one.
I love her tattoos.
I like that. I like when she was saying and she was voicing when she was breaking it down. So we're referring to Mel Robbins, by the way. This was her theory that kind of went viral. But I like when she was breaking down. It was I know y'all are all going to come for me and tell me specific things that you shouldn't let them do. And how she broke that down. How if it's something that is going to harm them or harm you or whatever, of course. If someone's wasted and about to drive off, you don't go, let them. You know what I mean? See ya, bye. I'm going to let you. I'm not going to worry about it. That would be different.
It resonated with me, with my son, because I have for 4 years have harped on his butt about grades. And I tell him constantly, hey, Taryn, like, I shouldn't have to care about your grades more than you do. And, when it came time for him to apply to college, and he just kept sitting on it and sitting on it and sitting on it. And so, you know what? I finally just got to the point where I'm like, I really was doing it. Let them, like, I was letting him just because it's like, okay.
He has to feel that sting
Right.
one day of like, wow, like I don't get to go to this university that I really thought would be really cool.
Yeah, and when your
because I
cousin
didn't
when your
take her
cousin gets to
seriously.
go and you wanted to go with him and you don't get accepted because you didn't do it in a timely fashion and you have to stay home and go to community
And
college.
you didn't earn it.
No, then guess what? Then that's on you.
Yeah, that sucks too because you got to let them learn the lesson.
Yeah, because it's like the growth. You know what I mean? And so instead of like,
it's almost like you're hindering if you
right, and because I'm such a doer. Do you know how hard that is to just
not do it for them?
Right. Well, and
How
for
hard
anybody in my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Another thing that she said that doesn't apply is when somebody is walking over your boundaries, that's not a let them.
No.
Like if you say, this is my boundary and I'm not allowing that, and then they continue to do that, this is not a let them time.
Yeah, but it also can be like if someone wants to talk to you disrespectful or not communicate in a proper amount of time.
You don't let them.
Right. Well, no, you just now, the way I'm taking it is you just let them. But then now, when I respond and treat you this,
or you walk away.
No, like now I just don't respond at all.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to respond at all. And so until you can talk to me with some sense and you can be like not petty, that this goes like in every aspect of my life, but main in like my co-parenting, like until you can be respectful. I'm the mother of your children. So until you can respect me, which he's
when
not,
I was sending you this video, I was thinking in my mind, I hope this is one of the things that resonates with you just for your ultimate like peace of mind at the end of the day, because I loved her also bringing in kind of the analogy and the visual of the doctor. Do you remember that? I think her name was Dr. Johnson or Annie Johnson. And how she was explaining this theory about like being in a boat and you're all paddling or you're paddling and you're trying to paddle upstream, like, because that's what control is you're just fighting somebody that you have no control over. And you're just wearing yourself out. Like, and some people do this their whole life or for years or whatever. And they never let it go. And they're so tired. And it's like when you finally, she says, put the oars down, which I guess is like the paddles. Is that what it is? I'm so.
Yeah, oars are like how you rode the boat.
She was like, so she was like, when you finally put the oars down, and what happens, it just turns around and it just flows and it's easy and you're not tired and it goes the way it's supposed to go, because either way, like they're going to learn, like.
And they may not learn.
But it's not your problem.
No, it's
not. At the end of the day.
It's not. And I was like, I literally for 20 years in my marriage.
Had the oars?
Well,
were your arms
and
tired?
I was like in love with the potential of what it could be. You know what I mean? Like if you would just do this, it would be this. If you would just work with me.
If you would just listen to me and do this way, because it would have been the right way.
Yeah. Like if you'll just let me help you in the correct way. But, like people need to help themselves.
Just
and
let me. You were like, let me. And now it's like,
I can't.
let them.
Yeah, let them. For sure.
Just let them. I really liked it. One thing that I was like, ooh, was.
Did you like the jealousy part? Because I really liked the jealousy part.
What did you get out of the jealousy part?
Well,
because I liked that part.
And dating
too.
right now, like at our age, my age, and in your 40s, even in your 30s, most people have kids. Most people do, right? When you're dating. So you'll hear other people's stories about like co-parenting issues and how like they're keeping their kids from them. And so it talks about like, okay, well, that's just jealousy. You know what I mean? Like, let them have their time with their kids. Like, and you should let them have their time with their kids. Like I have 50-50. So I like, and I didn't ask for any difference in that in mediation because Spencer was adjusted. As long as Spencer is thriving and adjusted, because Taryn doesn't, he's 100% with me.
Because it's not about, because you have to remember, as hard as it is, we have resentment,
as long
it's not about
as
us.
she's not in harm's way or like, she's clothed properly or her hair's brushed properly, like that's the issue we're going over now, like stop sending her hair home ratted and mats and, all of the things, but still like you want them to be with their dad. You want them to be with their mother, like, because it's opposite of the same. Like, there are men that keep, their kids away from the moms, and there are
course, yeah.
it goes both ways. Now it's predominantly, women trying to keep them from the dads,
Yeah.
out of hurt and out of spite. So I thought that was like a great tip. It's like, let them, if they want to be a parent, let them,
Yeah, let
you know what I
them.
mean? Like, and because that's great for the kids too.
And some people too get jealous of the parenting part, which I find wild, like, of some of it. But I do realize, like, but I think it's kind of innate in everybody, because like when my kids like have fun with them, or they're like, oh, I want to, I'm like, oh,
No.
like, what?
Well,
Why
I
do
mean,
you wanna be with me?
I get it, but you got to get to the point. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so tired of Spencer's hair being so messed up, so bad that I had to get it cut last week, that I'm like, let your girlfriend brush it out. Like, if you can't handle it, let her do it. Let them. Like, that is the best thing for Spencer. You know what I mean? Like, let her brush it out if she could do it. But now she doesn't
And that's you letting another woman, but
she doesn't have mixed
better.
kids, so she probably doesn't know what she's doing, and I'm not sure it would be the best, because as well as I know that mixed kids' hair is different. But
she'll
good
do the best
gosh.
that she can on it. And,
something. If not, then you need to have a professional. It is what it is, because you're going to ruin her hair. Like, and her hair is beautiful. And so that's my issue, or whatever.
Yeah.
That's my whatever. Let them right now.
Let them of the week.
Let them.
Let them.
Yeah. And from now on, if anybody in my life is, if I'm dating and they don't want to ask me on dates, let them fall off by the wayside. If you just want to text me every now and again, let them. I'm not going to be like, hey, you don't text me. If they don't say good morning or good night, let them.
Really?
You know what I mean?
You're not going to put them on Front Street?
Nope. Let them.
Just going to let them.
Well, I was with you the other night, and I was about to send a text message, and I'd backed on out, and I said, oh, let them.
And
I hadn't even seen your video
I was
yet.
like, the growth in Megan right now.
Right?
She deleted the message and did not send the rage text.
I did not. And a good thing I didn't, because the next morning when I got the text, it was like, it was not good. Like it was not good for him.
The reasoning. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, like that would have been terrible. So it was good.
Another thing that was super interesting as well was talking about when you're dealing with people with addictions.
Yes.
And I thought that was
that had to
and
hit
I
home
was
for you.
actually wondering if she would bring that up, because my mind was already going in that direction. I was like, wonder what she thinks about addiction, because
they're not going to get sober.
I've been talking about this a lot lately in my personal life, not personally, but and you toy around with interventions and intervention specialists and what's going to be the best option and things like that. But she's so right. Like, nobody ever got sober until they wanted to.
Right.
And you can't force somebody into sobriety. Actually, you just can't.
No.
So let them.
Yeah.
Let them, do whatever they want to do. And I mean, we have these talks all the time. That's the sucky part, is because you're watching somebody potentially, kill themselves,
right,
to some
or something
degree,
really bad,
or something bad happen to them. And so you really want to control them, especially like family members or people that you love so much. And that's the thing that with addiction that is so frustrating, because you just want to shake them, but that would still not help. You can't shake them. You can't force them. You can't handcuff them. Like, you can't beat them up. Like, you want to do all the things. I know. I do.
You gotta let that resonate. And you've gotten so much better.
And I have gotten so much better. And it probably is similar to this theory. I just got to the point where I was like, well, let them. Because I can't continue to lose sleep every single night. No. I can't continue to reach out and reach out and reach out and reach out and worry and worry and worry and worry. And they're not worrying. They're not worrying. Yeah. You know what I mean? If they're not worried about their life and their health and their family and all the things, you cannot worry for them.
No.
You can pray for them. You can, do whatever. And I mean, we've talked about this all the time. Al-Anon has like pounded it in my head. Like, you can't. And I also found it really interesting, which I'll bring up too once I finish with this little soapbox. But I liked it because it was like, It is true. You have to let them, and that's part of like hitting rock bottom. You
Yeah.
can't fix everything for them. You can't bail them out of trouble. If they go to jail, like you cannot bail them out. They have to feel the sting,
Right.
kind of, you know? And so I found that freeing too, because I
Right.
was like, oh, okay, so it does pertain to this too. So I'm doing that. And it feels like you're such a, you know what, you know,
But you're not.
but then you remind yourself, no, you're not making the choice every
They're
single day.
making those choices.
They're making the
They
choice
have to
every
live with
single
them.
day. And then she spoke about, say somebody starts calling you multiple times to bail them out, like financially.
Mhm.
And if you do that and you do it, they're never going to feel the sting or the loss or whatever it is. And then they're never growing from it. So that never changes, right? So I was like, wow, these is like can pertain to like
all facets of your life.
everything. Coworkers, employees. You can sit there and get on to your employee over and over and over for not being on time.
Right.
Or you could just be like, okay, bye. I told you to be here at a certain time. So see you later. You know what I mean? Like you can't make somebody do it.
It was just so crazy how she talks so much about like when you take away all the things that you have in your head of what you want them to change and all you do is sit around and gripe.
Yeah.
Like how
it
much
does nothing.
It does nothing.
She's like, you spent 200 hours.
Yeah, of nothing. And when
harping
you really
and rehashing conversations and things that are
when
annoying
you take all of that out and you let them be themselves and do nothing or whatever they're going to do, you're really just in love with what you thought it was. And really when
you're
you
forcing it.
Right. And when you take that away from the person and let them just be themselves, there's usually nothing left. Nothing left.
Speaking of that part, I really resonated with that one. Maybe the biggest out of everything. And the thing was allowing people to be who they are and people allowing you to be who you are. Because Gabriel and I like just talked about this a few weeks ago and he was like, I love that you just let me be me. Like you don't try to change me. I don't try to change you. I'm not telling you, you know, how you need to be or change. And I don't do that to him. And he's like, I don't think I've ever been with anybody that allowed me to just
be me
and not tell me like, you need to do this or you need to do this or you need to be more like this or you need and vice versa. And you're like, that is so true. Like when you can authentically, and she was saying how that just brings love. Like you feel more loved. They feel more love. And basically just letting them is just creating more love, which is just like the goal all the way around.
Yeah. And in my marriage, like that's where I screwed up. I screwed up and I have to take accountability because I constantly said, hey, like, do this. Hey, do that. Hey, you're not doing this. Hey, you know, and that was like my anxiety talking through control. And so like, you know, I knew which way it needed to go. You know what I mean? Like here's the road less traveled, but you know, you can only tell somebody so much. And in a relationship, like how you guys thrive, like no man wants to have a mother. You know what I mean?
No.
But if you
nobody wants to
but if you keep
their mom.
No. And if you keep acting like, but if you keep like having bad traits and like keep doing bad things over and over again,
but
a woman is going to turn into a mom.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Because it's like
I always say it like
I should have just walked
their
away.
mom. I'm not this. I'm not I don't want to I don't
want to be your mom.
Want that role again because
I won't.
I don't. Like, I'm a natural caregiver. We talked about this on last episode. I'm a 2. I love to take care of people. I love all that stuff. But I don't want to mother you. I don't want to tell you not to do something. Or
I want you to stand up, be a man.
I want you to do something because you want to do it. And I want you to not do something wrong to me because you don't want to hurt me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, because you love me, not because I made you.
Yeah.
Or I complained so much. Then you didn't do it for a while. You know what I mean? You can't force somebody.
I've got some I might need you to tattoo it like all over my body. Let them. Every time I turn around, I'll just look around. See that? By the way, my shirt.
I love that you have this shirt on right now too. I don't care.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
I need to go ahead and get a let them shirt.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
Let them.
Yeah.
Let them.
For sure.
I think it's
I need to have it like right here so I can just read it on my hand every day when I'm
I
writing.
can do it for you.
I need it.
You do need it.
I do, girl.
I don't know. You're doing really well.
I mean, I have moments, you know, but like then I have to like reel myself back in and be like, no,
But you
I'm
have
not
that
doing
personality
this.
anyway, like the driver. Like you want to drive and, you know.
Right.
So I think yours is probably even harder. I don't drive anything really. I don't care.
You drive that bus right on over.
I do. And I don't, I guess I'm just don't have that, a lot of it in my personality. Really.
I think my anxiety is like way worse than yours.
Yeah.
I mean, yours like, but so I think that like that and my, you know, Taryn got into an accident the other day and he's like, well, my light was green and his was yellow. And I'm like, but tell me exactly what happened. And he goes, well, I was making a right-hand turn and I went out into the far lane and I said, well, stop right there. How many times have I told you, you turn into the first lane when you make a right-hand turn? You don't go out into the far lane and go wide. You'll get pulled over every time. So regardless if he had a yellow light and you had a green, like, yes, it is going to be deemed his fault, but you're setting yourself up to have a wreck every single time. And yeah, there's not that much damage on your Jeep, but like next time it could be way worse. And so, you know, like I should have just let him, you know, like, because
this is true. We could probably think of examples all the time. I'm sitting here thinking about like whenever it was like really snowy and Maddie was out there forever and she was having a blast and I just kept like trying to control the situation. Like maybe you need to come in for a little while. Maybe you need to take that off. Maybe you did blah, blah, but you're going to get wet and then you're going to get cold and then you're going to, and then it was like, finally I was like, let them because she's having a blast.
Yeah.
She never gets snow. I mean, how often do we see snow like that? Like, let the girl have some fun. And if she gets a little cold, she gets a little cold or whatever. Yeah. She comes in and peels her clothes off and her body's like red.
Oh my goodness.
But she was like, I'm not cold. I'm like, but she was, that's how much fun she was having. So then she stayed out there for like 3 days. I mean, literally like 10 hours every single day, like never came in, like loved it. They were like, they took container lids and were sledding down the hill. Oh my goodness. Neighborhood people, and they were just having a blast. So I was like, I had to keep, because I just had, I sounded like a nag in my mind. And that was just me controlling, probably just fear of, you know, not taking care of her or her getting sick or, you know, whatever. And finally I'm like, I'm tired. I've been doing this all day. I've been checking on her. She's fine. Let her. Yeah. You know. And then she had the best time ever. But it's just things like that you're like.
I know. It's either going to do one of two things. Like when you let them, it's either going to force growth, right? And they finally get to a point where they get it on their own, or they're not. And it's one of the two. So it's like, you know, but at the end of the day, it's not on you. It's on them, you know? So like, that's going to be like, I almost feel like it needs to be my mantra for the year. Because I'm like, seriously, I in my life, I'm like, you know, I need to let them all the time.
Like nagging on them to keep everything clean in the room and all that. And it's like, for what? Like, I get being clean and all that, but it's just, it's not bothering them right then.
And I think it's different, like with my age gap. It's like I can let them with Taryn a lot more, you know, but I mean, I would never like, he doesn't leave the house anyways, but I'm not, like we said, I'm not going to like let him go drink and drive, you know what I mean? But I could let him not get into college if, even though the money's sitting there for him to go, if you don't even apply because you're not showing initiative that you can even apply to college, let alone go make the grades.
Like, do you think that he's just not wanting to? Or
he did now. I mean, it just took forever. And that's when we had that huge meltdown. And I finally just was like, go to your dad's. Like, you know, you've got a 20 in a class. You don't want to apply to college. Like, you know, it just is what it is. But I mean, he's a kid. He's an 18-year-old kid. And I think, I don't know, like, I think Brylan, did he turn 18 his senior year? So it's almost like they get this attitude like, I'm grown.
They're like, I'm grown. Why are you telling me what to do? And they get this chip on their shoulder.
And I'm like, you're not grown unless you could pay the bills.
And I get it. Like, you're an adult. Yes.
But you're not an adult.
You don't pay anything here. And I'm still in charge.
Yeah. And you
still have to graduate high school.
Yeah. It's my house, my rules.
Yeah. Like, I remember, because Brylan I tell you this all the time. Brylan fought me so hard in high school. Like, he just is rebel spirited like me. Like, we like don't like people telling us what to do. He thinks if he's not going to use that subject that it's stupid and he doesn't need to do it. Like that, he would say that. Like, when am I ever going to have to know blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, Probably never, but you need it for your high school diploma.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter if you're going to use it. It matters that you finish the task and do it. And finally, his senior year, because he was so on the verge of like passing or failing or maybe not walking. I mean, he was right there on this border. And they started setting up meetings every single 6 weeks with every single teacher he had, counselor, principal, vice principal, me, and his dad. And we all had to be there in a big round table with him once every 6 weeks and compare truths and like
at that point we should have had the let them movement, and you should have took a sign into the meeting and been like, let him.
And they would all be like, he's extremely intelligent, he's extremely quick, he's very street smart, but he just doesn't want to do the task. A lot of it was his ADHD and things like that were really hurting him. Like he would do the work sometimes and then just forget to turn it in and just stuff like that we were like, what are you doing? But it was really funny because the last time we ever met before he walked and we were like right there, the principal, she was really funny. She finally goes, Brylan, just let your mom watch you walk across this stage. For the love of God, like, please, just stop arguing with us and fighting us and just let her, because they had seen me so many times, like, trying to do this for him.
Yeah.
And getting so frustrated. Yeah. And I just, it really was a hard couple years.
The other day
and when I hear
wreck.
you, I'm like, I totally resonate.
He was going to argue with me till he's blue in the face. And I wanted to be like, okay, do you want to pay a car payment? And do you want to pay car insurance? And do you want to pay gas? Because the last time I checked, you didn't want to do any of those things. You know what I mean? So stop arguing with me. If you want a new car for graduation, I'm not going to get you a new car and you're still swinging out into the far lane and setting yourself up, because the Jeep and a car is going to be way different. It will crush your car just like it crushed that kid's car hitting your Jeep, So I'm like, no, I'm not going to do this.
It's so interesting. Like, but they do that. You're right. Like when they turn 18, because they're just so ready for a taste of freedom.
Yeah.
And we're easy.
Right.
But they just want to do what they want to do.
The Jeep is not mine. It's not in my name.
Yeah.
It's Darian's. And so, Taryn, I was like, hey, that fender is tore up and needs to be replaced. And he's like, well, do you think is it that bad? And I'm like, well, it can't be fixed. It's that fender is going to have to be replaced, but it's not my Jeep. It's not my responsibility. So your dad is responsible to
make the claim.
Right. Well, and to text the man back. He hadn't even texted the man back to tell him like, hey, I'm going to go get it looked at. Nothing. And so until he, I'm not going to go take your Jeep and get it put on a lift and make sure there's no well damage. Like, it's not on me. Let them not get the Jeep fixed. Let them. It's not mine. It's not my job. Like,
I wish
you went
I could have seen you watching this video for the first time. Were you like,
he went and get the oil changes on the Jeep, and he had got $3,000 worth of, engine work or whatever, and it broke down. And I'm like, let the Jeep break down, because I'm not doing it. It's not my job. It's not my job anymore.
It's so funny because this wasn't the let them theory for me a couple years ago, but I heard one of my clients told me she was talking about like her sister or something like that, and how she started telling herself like, not my circus, not my monkey.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, what? And she said it again. She was like, anytime I feel the need to like get my hands in there and try to fix it or whatever, I will tell myself in my head, not my circus, not my monkey.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. So I started doing that to myself all the time, like, not my circus, not my monkey.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. It's the same thing, but it's...
There's a let them movement, not my circus, not my monkey.
Very freeing is the point of it. And I think...
It causes it creates peace. You know what I mean? And within yourself. Because it's like... I literally had to have a come to Jesus with myself this week and be like, and I've had this same come to Jesus with myself
multiple times,
50 times, even since my divorce, right? Like literally, like you got out of the marriage to not have chaos. Stop letting him cause chaos in your life from afar. Let them. So he can stay over there in that chaos by his damn self, because I'm done. I'm not even communicating anymore. Like, that's it. I'm done.
I love it.
Yeah.
This is going to be a good year, Maggie.
Oh, yeah, girl.
I wonder how many times we said let them.
I don't know. We should count
If
it.
you can tell us exactly how many times we said let them,
You get a sweatshirt.
you get a sweatshirt.
Sweatshirt. That's right.
And
you got to
you're
post
correct.
it.
You have
And
to
you're
be
correct.
correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
Count
So,
it. And you must subscribe to all platforms.
You have to be subscribed.
to
And
Spotify,
you have to
Apple,
And you
YouTube,
have to leave us a review on Apple.
And you have to say it on all of our social media: Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Got Our Back Podcast.
And YouTube.
Yeah. And YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Comment there.
That was fun.
It was so fun.
I like that. I like
know.
when you get all like inspired.
Yeah,
too.
girl.
I really like that one.
I love that.
Mm-hmm. That's
'Cause
awesome.
I
don't care.
I'm going to let them. Follow us at Megs Unfiltered.
Inspired by Carrie and Got Our Back Podcast. Bye.
Bye.